Hi, I'm Michelle Tennant Nicholson, the president of Henderson County Beekeepers Association in the Great Smoky Mountains. And I am thrilled to introduce to you my special guest today, Cameron Jack. Cameron, thanks for being here today. Tell everybody why you're such a big deal in beekeeping.
Well, thanks for having me, Michelle. I really appreciate it. I wish I could come visit you in the Great Smoky Mountains. That
We do
sounds,
too.
we'll have to make that happen in the future. But yeah, I'm an assistant professor at the University of Florida, and I have been keeping bees myself for about 15 years-ish. But I mean, I kind of grew up around bees and beekeeping even when I was a little kid. So it's just kind of been a part of who I am, but I never really thought I would try to make a career out of this, right? It just kind of bunch of happy accidents, but I'm really blessed to be able to do what I do. I just love bees, love talking about bees, love teaching about bees, love researching bees. So it's great.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about what you were going to discuss today. And of course, you could talk about Varroa. You could talk about oxalic acid. You can talk about pretty much anything under the sun when it comes to beekeeping. But what we really don't talk about a lot, and I think we would really love to hear from you, is, well, like you said, the learning of beekeeping and the teaching of that. So, I'm a second generation beekeeper. So I remember being exposed to it from my uncles, right? So that's different when you're like completely like interested in beekeeping and then you're brand new and fresh. So what have you observed when
Yeah,
you're teaching students?
right, exactly. So most students that are coming in, college is just like one of those magical times where the world's open to you and you can do anything. And like I said, I had no idea which way my path was going to go, and stuff. You just kind of get exposed to things. So there's so many people that come and just take one of our beekeeping classes. And for the vast majority of people, they're probably never going to do anything with it, but some people do like actually go into the industry and work. And I teach like a ridiculous number of classes. I mean, we offer I'm finishing my 10th course right now. like 10 courses on bees and honeybees and beekeeping, right? Like it's crazy. And right, we have about 500-ish students a year that are taking beekeeping classes, which it doesn't necessarily sound like a crazy amount, but like compared to like the 50,000 or so that are at the University of Florida. But think of all those people. Most of them will not become beekeepers, but they do know about honeybees. They have some connection. They're all voters, right? So there's like something important, I think,
More
about.
importantly, they all eat honey,
Yes, they all
most
eat
of
honey.
them.
They eat food. They like food, right? Like
Yeah,
it's all connected, and
it
hopefully
is.
this helps ground them a little bit to bees and beekeeping. So I
So, yeah, so if we look at one of the things that I've always noticed, I'm sure everybody who is a beekeeper and you've talked at a festival or conference and whatnot, or just even when you're out and about at the grocery or you're at a brewery, just talking with people or a church, whatever your deal is,
Mhm.
you say, "Hey, I'm a beekeeper." And then they say a few things. They say, "Oh, I'm interested in being a beekeeper. How do I do that?" Or they say, "Where can I get local honey?" Or is it true that the bees are really suffering as much as the media says? So, how do you gauge, like for those of us who do have clubs and those of us who are beekeepers, what would you recommend to us to help other people just kind of, drink the Kool-Aid and come on in? The water's fine, right?
So this is kind of what the interesting findings that we've had from our research. I was comparing people that had like comparing students that are like actually doing hands-on beekeeping activities and comparing students that because I have some online beekeeping classes as well, and that are just 100% online. They're not touching bees, during this course. So what I found was that you've got these two different kind of very different experiences, and yet when they report about like what they have learned, their like knowledge gain is about the same. What they like that their fears are like they're overcoming fears and things like it's about the same. So I mean, I guess my point is interestingly, there are so many ways that people can access bees and actually become like emotionally attached and like feel better, like change their perspectives on bees, like, because probably that's maybe the biggest pushback that we all get in the beekeeping world is that, there's you might have a lot of like neighbors and stuff. They're like, oh, they find out what you do and they're like, oh, that's really cool, until there's a swarm of bees that lands in their yard, and then they lose their mind, right? They're
Yeah,
like,
can
this
you
is
come over here and help me because I can't do this on my own, right?
yeah, exactly. So like giving them some knowledge just changes people's perspectives entirely. So like my advice, for clubs and things is to have some resources available to like share with people, because you can invite people all you want to be meetings, and which is great. I mean, that's even better. Like if they can come be with you and look and learn and see. But most people aren't going to do that, and they don't have time to do that in their busy lives. But if you had some club like resources as to like things that they can read or videos they can watch, which of course your group does extremely well, right? Like
Mhm.
that could be huge. That to just changing a mindset and
But yeah,
like getting people
let's
excited
drill
about it.
down into what those resources are, right? So books and so are you saying like going to an actual apiary, a learning apiary, or having hands-on hives? Like drill down a little more into these resources that you're thinking are important.
Sure. Yeah, because like my experience is a little bit different. I've got like a university course that I've like created a curriculum of like studying and stuff. But I'm not, that's not necessarily what everybody else is going to do. That's not super practical. However, getting people in and around bees, like I'll also interview my students in some of my online courses. I'll invite them to come out to like a field day that I'll hold once a semester at our honeybee lab. And so these are students that are kind of learning about bees with some online lectures, but this is the first time that they get to like see it, be around it, smell it, right? Like they just engage all their senses with bees, and it so many times they've just said that like has totally just changed them, right? Um, and so, in having some of the, like you said, drilling down on some specific things, like having an open field day where people can come and see and talk to you and put on a veil for the first time and like hold a frame of bees for the first time and realize that they're not just going to come get you,
Until
it's
they do. No, I'm just
right
kidding.
until they do, but that's where we choose our hives carefully with
Right.
which ones we're going to do for demonstration. But
Right. Well, let's talk about like
yeah.
so we've got these field days, we got, when you create a curriculum, Cameron, what are you looking for the introductory beekeeper and then for the advanced beekeeper? What are essential skills? You know, clubs always have introduction to beekeeping. Here we've got, a master level beekeeper and educator. What do we need to be including in that education for newbies and for advanced?
So for newbies, the differences between like my newbie classes and my advanced classes are, the newbie classes are kind of just the warm and fuzzies, right? Like, oh man, look how cool bees are. Like, let's talk about some interesting things about the biology of how their like caste system works and honeybee like worker behaviors and things like that. They just blow
Okay.
people's mind, and it's so fun. And then we talk about like, look at how big beekeeping has changed throughout history and kind of what people used to do and our human connection with bees and honey through through like from the time of the ancient Egyptians like until like modern beekeeping. And then we'll also spend a lot of time talking about like pollination and honey production and just kind of those types of like basics, like here's how you light a smoker and here's how you would manipulate a colony and things that you would be considering. Those are kind of all of in our newbie class, and it just gets people feeling like, yeah, like this is awesome. Wow, how cool
Okay.
is that? Then my advanced classes are kind of the opposite. It's like, all right, let's get down to business. Like if you're gonna do this, now here's some things you really need to know. You need to know about honeybee pests. You need to know about honeybee pathogens. You need to know how to look for signs of pesticide poisoning. Like some of the like harder things about it you need. And so we those are kind of like the main topics that we're covering in like our more advanced classes, as like really what can you really expect time commitment wise and like monetarily, like what are you going to spend if you get into this? Because it always shocks people, right? Just
Does.
the equipment, the amount of time that they're going to need to like put in. Beekeeping is not really a passive hobby anymore, right? Like it
No,
is
I think I was
an
told
active
you just need
pursuit.
to you just need to set aside if you're working full time, just like once every 10 days. I was like, so like my husband and I were like, yay, okay, we can do that. Yeah, no. Like there we
Yeah.
are at lunch, like trying to catch a swarm, and I'm trying to also take a client call while we're catching a swarm. And you can't really say when your worlds collide, like, oh, I'm catching a swarm,
Yeah.
even though, this where it's a professional call, they don't quite understand that. So in your advanced, in addition to pests and pathogens, are you also teaching now genetics and the way to actually, make a stronger hive via genetics?
Well, um, so then
And how
I've
important
kind
is
of
that?
yeah, so that like I've kind of like got one of my other classes that kind of make up the core. We kind of talked about my core curriculum already so far. I have a basic beekeeping one class, a beekeeping two class, which is the more advanced, and then I've got a honeybee biology class. That is like where we really talk about genetics and talk about different honeybee species, but then also different queen stocks that are bred for certain traits and how that is done. So that's like what I would consider like beekeep. I think every beekeeper really ought to know a good, healthy amount about honeybee biology. One, because it's fascinating and it's one of the ways that we kind of get hooked on bees, and they blow our minds all the time of how cool they are. But then if you're serious beekeeper, you just need to know this. This is like some really, like, it will help you make some important beekeeping decisions. As far as like breeding and genetics and things, we certainly I share that information. I talk about what other people are doing and why it's important for like resistant stock or for certain traits that we might want to see in bees. Um, Not really something that we're actively doing. When we're talking about sharing and teaching others, I feel like that's going to be like advanced, really to learn those types of skills, but certainly to make sure that people are aware and understand kind of how it works. It's not rocket science, but it does takes time and serious commitment to be able to do that kind of work.
So you've got the students who are on campus who, I mean, I'm thinking about when I was a college student, this would have been fantastic to take as an elective, right? But let's talk a little bit about, because people who are watching this online will have the opportunity to participate with your online programming.
Mhm.
So how do we tell us what they're going to learn with that, and what's some URLs and whatnot that people can check that out?
Yeah, that's great. There are I'm glad you asked because there are like a few different ways to really do this, right? There,
Okay.
as far as online courses, like you can basically bundle it, package it how you want, like to the most basic level. If you searched ufhoneybee.com, there is yeah, we have like some online learning modules. We call them like bee learning. So like instead of like e-learning, which is what we kind of
Oh,
call it,
cute.
like, yeah, it's bee learning.
Okay.
And so these are like packaged as specific modules of information that are like, if we take a course, like a beekeeping course that maybe has like 10 to 15 modules, we're pulling out one of those things that people can learn about and study it that way. But then if you're interested in taking an online course, you can same thing. If you this is probably more advertised through our department of our entomology and nematology department, but their website, you can find and apply for specific courses, or you can package them together as like a certificate. We have an actual like University of Florida online certificate that you can earn by taking a certain number of credits. And so there's a beekeeping certificate that you can earn.
Well, that is fantastic. So
Mhm.
I just want to share my screen to see if I'm in the right place, because I didn't know about this. That's really fantastic. So if somebody was not actually, of course, if you're going to be a student here, you would go through the traditional university. But if you're an online student, you wanted to start with what you're saying, would they email you or would they sign up? Where would they go here?
So if you scroll up just a bit, so you could email me and I can of course send anything to you, but if you go to where that says instruction at the top,
Instruction. Okay,
right
seen it.
below where your mouse, there's extension, research, instruction. So you can see that there are HBRL courses. This
Yes,
is
this
like
one.
this
Oh,
is
awesome. This is
um
it.
yeah, these are the different courses that we offer. And then there are, so like you can kind of see them. And then um, if you were to navigate to our department's website, like, so if you scroll down where it says view all entomology, nematology courses, yeah, you can click on that. And then this will kind of like show you everything. If you scroll up one more time, I'm sorry, Michelle, I'm making this
Okay.
difficult for you. Right there for academics. Then if like, let's say you were interested in something like um, a, like an online course or an online certificate, you could go to the undergraduate online learning or see how there's also graduate online learning. It kind of
Yeah.
depends on what you want. Because for some people, if you're just a beekeeper and you just want to take a course and get some, get some different information, you might as well just do the online like undergraduate level. If you are
Yeah.
interested in doing, like, some people, like maybe they're in a graduate program or they want some certain credits for a different program, they might want to do something like that. And then you can click on like program options there and
This is
see how.
fantastic. I had no idea that,
Mhm.
of course, there are people like me who just rack up master's degrees because it's fun for us. And then there are other people who just want their basic knowledge. But this is fantastic. So
Yeah,
if you all are interested in that, definitely reach out to Cameron. And of course, I guess you do. We might have to revisit you coming to the Smoky
yeah.
Mountains to do an in-person thing with us, huh?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much for being with us. Is there anything that we've missed that you wanted to share?
And just that, beekeeping is a lifelong learning pursuit, and that's why it's so fun. I mean, we have students that are brand new to beekeeping, and I love when I have really experienced beekeepers that also take the course because I learn from them too, and they will kind of open my mind on something like, hey, Cameron, you might want to consider teaching it this way, and it kind of helps just make the course better and helps educate people even better. So yeah, definitely check us out if you're interested in this. And I hope that everybody just continues to learn, no matter how you can. Just spend as much time learning from each other, and they'll help us, all of us, become better beekeepers.
Amen. Thanks so much, Cameron, for being with
Yeah,
us.
thank you, Michelle.